The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the Nelai Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Federal. The Punjab and Uttarakhand police have killed 3 terrorists in Pili and recovered some sophisticated weapons. Today we are talking to Dr. Ajai Sahni, Executive Director at the Institute for Conflict Management and South Asia Terrorism Portal, to discuss if the Khalistan movement is making a comeback in Punjab or we are just overestimating the situation. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Sahni.
Thank you for having me.
Now, my first question is, there was an operation by Punjab and Uttarakhand police in which 3 terrorists have been killed and recovered, and some weapons have been recovered, AK series, assault rifles, and which are not even available to the police units. How do you assess the possibility of terrorists being found in Uttarakhand near India-Nepal border?
I think this should not be seen as something where you have terrorists present in these areas. What we have learned till now is that these were the individuals who were involved in the grenade attacks in Punjab, in Gurdaspur in particular, over the past month in some of the attacks. And they were probably going into these into areas that they thought would be safe areas. But evidently, according to the police disclosures, technical evidence had been, they had been surveilled technically, their location was identified, their communications with their handlers abroad was identified, and they were able to engage with them. There was an exchange of fire. There are, the police claim, 2 police casualties, 2 policemen injured. So this is not something that we have got this extension of terrorism into Uttarakhand or into Uttar Pradesh or anything like this. This is rather individuals who have committed acts of terrorism in Punjab, who are seeking to conceal themselves, hide, take a small cooling off time, either in Uttar Pradesh or by crossing the border into Nepal. We do not have specific details as yet.
Sir, there have been several grenade blasts and attacks on police stations in Punjab in the last few days. Do you believe these are Khalistani terrorists or trying to make a comeback, or just drug gangs trying to expand their influence?
You see, there have been 8 incidents in just the last 28, 29 days. So that is of great significance, all of them targeting police establishments, police posts or police stations. So there is very clearly a coordinated and pre-planned, premeditated campaign ongoing. As far as the individuals executing on this side are concerned, they are not in any sense Khalistani or ideologically motivated cadres. In one case, we find 2 of the people who had been recruited, they were drug addicts and they had been given promises of drugs or supplies of drugs. In other cases, this latest, the 3 boys who have been killed in Nepal, we see 2 of them, they come from extremely poor families. You can see interviews with their family members, very poor backgrounds, daily wage workers. So they are certainly not practicing, Keshdhari Sikhs. So these are not people who are in any sense Khalistanis at an ideological level or motivated by the Khalistani ideology. They are either drug addicts, or they are looking for small amounts of money, or they are very low level members of gangs. Very low level, because it is evident from the very nature of the attacks or the nature of the grenade blasts, the manner in which these grenades have been thrown and the flight of the individuals and other factors, that they are not well-trained cadre. So even the gangs with which they may be associated are not committing their, what you would call, high-value cadres. They are committing very low-value cadres. But is this connected to the Khalistan cause or the Khalistan idea? Well, yes, not at the level of execution on the ground, but at the level of planning, of handling, of conspiracy. All, and of shall we say, material support and funding. All this is coming from abroad. and it is coming from a very wide network. We see, of course, the old thing is Pakistani linkages, but we also see linkages into Canada, we see linkages into the UK, we see linkages into Germany. So this is being handled by elements within the non-resident community, the Sikh diaspora. Elements within, please understand, these are very small groups that do not have any mass following, even in the diaspora. But they remain deeply committed to this idea, and they act with very high levels of impunity, for the simple reason that most Western states have refused to recognize this as a problem of terrorism or even of organized crime, and have been very little concerned with India's sort of perceptions of these issues. So the conspiracy, the planning, all of it comes from outside, the resources, the funding, even the transfer of weapons. The execution is done through the mediation of gangs who have, again, foreign bases, but cadres in India. And these incidents specifically have been executed by very low level individuals who have been recruited by the gangs. They may not even be their regular cadre. They are most likely not their regular cadre.
So the fact that AK series assault rifles, Glock pistols, grenades are available to these people, is it not indicating that the agencies, intelligence agencies, state police, center need to do their job a little bit better?
You see, this is very difficult. There have been hundreds of arrests, thousands of seizures. You have weapons, grenades, explosives, and drugs coming across the border on almost daily basis on drones now. Earlier on, there were other means of smuggling, but now it's almost every day you have a drone or two being picked up. And as yet, we do not have a defense against such drop-ins. Their capabilities of detection and neutralization have improved. They're slightly better off. But that's not a problem that we seem to be able to resolve in the near future. Number two, Punjab has been a theater of fairly high intensity and extended violence for a long time. So there will be caches of weapons all over the place. Number three, it is now a deeply criminalized state in terms of organized crime. And weapon supplies are coming from all over, not just immediately across the border. They come across the sea route through Gujarat, through Rajasthan and upwards to Punjab. So to say that we must have a weapons-free sort of situation where there are so many forces that are, including internal forces, trying to destabilize the situation, is like saying we shouldn't have crime, and if we have crime, the police is failing. There's so many, our law and order situation in this country is fairly poor across the country. And Punjab is an area of, as I said, long-term and chronic violence. So I'm not surprised that you're finding these weapons there. And I'll tell you one thing more. Anywhere in the world, if there are a criminalized group willing to exert violence without any limits, they will get weapons. Go across the world. People are starving, but they have these sophisticated weapons and belts of ammunition wrapped around their shoulder. So if you are willing to engage in activity of this nature, someone or the other will provide you the supplies. Of course, at a price or with a quid pro quo.
Okay. So when we talk about the developments in Punjab, we cannot ignore the farm movement that is continuing for the past 4-5 years. And because the farmers are demanding a legal guarantee on MSP. Are these incidents and protests linked? There are certain sections in the ruling party which say that who say that these are linked.
This is a complete fabrication. It is reflective of the sheer dishonesty that prevails in politics today, where you invent narratives simply to project your own party or your party's agenda. It's astonishing, because you are linking what are essentially left-wing groups, labor unions, agricultural workers' unions, farmers' unions, all of whom, by and large, a large proportion of whom are essentially left-wing. And the left-wing has physically fought the terrorists and the Khalistanis. They took up guns and fought these people. Today, in order to discredit the farmers' movement, not just today, but right through from the beginning of the farmers' movement, they have been saying, oh, these are Khalistanis, these are Khalistanis. And when we talk about the Khalistanis, you find so many of these, trolls, these well-financed and backed trolls, saying, oh, these Khalistanis are left-wing. You don't even need ideological clarity on this. You don't need information on this. You are just going to keep on repeating the same lies again and again till you find an audience who believes you. And these are outright lies. There's no other word for it. If we go back to the 2021 agitation, you may remember the incidents in Delhi. A khanda was put up. A khanda is the religious flag of the Sikhs, was put up on the Red Fort. It flew below the Indian flag. People in high office said, this is a Khalistani flag. The Indian flag was torn down and the Khalistani flag was put up on the flag post. Complete lies which were exposed before the Supreme Court. But today, if you ask people who are from this particular ideological background, they will still tell you, no, a Khalistani flag was put up and the Indian flag was torn down. So I'm afraid we live in a world in which lies are harnessed by political parties, and they begin to and they find roots in the minds of the masses, at least of a certain section of the masses. There is no linkage, and I say this very clearly, I repeat it, there is no linkage between the farmers' movement and the Khalistanis. At one stage, towards the latter part of the 2020-21 movement, some Khalistanis tried to penetrate the movement. So you did see an occasional poster or a flag or something like that in some of the farmers' camps. Whenever, even in fact, when the violence occurred in Delhi, all the principal farmers' unions said, we have nothing to do with this. They were the ones who were trying to take the route that had been prescribed by the Delhi police. Certain elements broke away. Others, in their enthusiasm, with nothing to do with Khalistan, followed them to the Red Fort. There was a fracas there. Some injuries to policemen occurred. Some injuries to the protesters occurred. And this flag hoisting incident occurred. But this had nothing to do with a mass support for Khalistan or anything like that. But there were certain very small number of mischievous elements in that crowd at that point of time.
So we also know that the Punjab politics is in disarray. The Congress party is trying to regroup. The Akali Dal, which represent farmer, rural, and religious population, they have been sidelined completely. The BJP is facing an uphill challenge. How do you assess the performance of the AAP government, which is there for the first time?
You see, the objective assessments don't matter. If you see rates of growth have improved, they do have several other measures that they claim have been implemented. Some of them can actually be witnessed on the ground. But what matters is perceptions. And the perception today, after the kind of mandate, you must understand, when you get a mandate of the nature that the AAP got, they got 94 seats out of 113. Now, I keep on saying that this was not a vote for AAP. It was a vote against the Akalis and the BJP and the Congress, principally. The BJP has always been a marginal party there. Of course, they were reduced to just 2 seats, so they are completely marginalized. And hence the enormous mischief that is ongoing in Punjab. Because now they are trying to create disarray, create divisions in Punjab so that they can find opportunities to re-establish themselves. Not just the BJP, but all the traditional parties. But the point basically is that when people give you a vote of this nature, 94 seats out of 130, then their expectations are also sky high. And very frankly, there is a sense of disappointment across the Punjab today in the Aam Aadmi Party. They are still winning some elections. Several elections, even now in the municipality, they have not municipality elections, their performances will not be very negative. But the point basically is that the kind of hopes people had could not have been fulfilled by any party, and hence there is a sense of disappointment even in the Aam Aadmi Party. That does not mean that the prestige or the power of the Congress or the Akalis is going to suddenly be restored, because they remain discredited. And if you see Akali politics today, the Akali SGPC politics today in Punjab, it is becoming more rancorous, uglier, very bad language being used, allegations of baseless allegations very often, of immoral conduct, of all sorts of things, one against the other. So far from regaining any grounds, the Akali Dal is likely to lose further ground, and the SGPC with it and its components.
Since we're talking about protests and revival of Khalistani movement, please explain to our viewers, is it correct to say that Khalistani movement is being revived, or we are overestimating the problem and the problem is not so serious?
Define so serious.
Okay.
There is a problem. Let us be clear. But what happens after every incident, after an Amritpal Singh comes around, after 2 or 3 killings occur, people say, oh, we are back in the 1980s and the early 1990s. People don't realize in 1990-91, more than 5,000 people were killed in a single year. In a single year. Today, this year you have 2 killings, 4 killings. In fact, from 2016 onwards, we have had a killing, at least 1 killing every year. Between 2008 and 2015, there were 0 killings relating to Khalistan, or what is called Khalistani terrorism. So certainly there is a problem. How that is being articulated is different. As I had said before, this is mostly being executed by gangsters. It is well funded and well resourced from abroad. But the problem is manifesting on our soil. This year has been the worst, as a matter of fact. We have had 9 killings which are related not just to Khalistani terrorism, but to the Khalistani gangster terrorism nexus. This includes fratricidal killings of gangster by gangster. But that also becomes part of the problem, because today you cannot separate the Khalistani terrorist from the gangster. As I said, from 2016 to the present, all the killings that have occurred have had essentially gangsters executing the killings. Interestingly, if you go through the details about the arrests and the people who have been charge sheeted, many of them are not even Sikhs. And I don't mean they're not Keshdari Sikhs. They are not Sikhs, they are Hindus, and there are Muslims also who have been charge sheeted in these cases. So the whole movement on Punjabi soil is being executed by gangsters, but there is a well-resourced, well-funded group abroad which is at least purportedly ideologically motivated. Now you must see also that you talk about Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, Nijjar was supposedly a Khalistani. He claimed to be the chief of the Khalistan Tiger Force. He was killed. However, he was killed, that maybe is a different issue. That post of the chief of Khalistani Tiger Force is now claimed by Arshadullah, who is a long-term, of course, associate of Nijjar, but also a long-term organized crime element. So there is an overlap over there, and you can't say this is being done for a Khalistani cause and not for a criminal objective, because there is a complete sort of dovetailing of the two. Now, extortion in Punjab funds these people in Canada, in America, in Germany, and UK, wherever they are. The extortion is being done in Punjab. Now, in order to extort in Punjab, you have to create some measure of terror in Punjab. So these targeted killings, these grenade blasts, these various efforts are also a demonstration that I can do you harm. So you quietly pay, And many people are paying. And this money is flowing out of India, and it is flowing to these Khalistani gangsters abroad. And their networks have become very elaborate. They are almost all over the world. I mean, you come up with cases. There is one man who is beheaded by Indian gangsters in Russia. You have gangsters being named in cases in Armenia. I mean, these are things you would not even imagine. They are in Brazil, they are in Malaysia, they are in, literally all over the world. And they're talking to each other. That is the other thing about the new communications revolutions that we have, that they are now talking to each other, coordinating their activities, coordinating their plans and programs and projections, so that they can have maximal impact on Indian soil, in Punjab in particular. Now, please understand that despite all these efforts, and despite the fact that we are having weapons thrown across the border on drones every other day, and a very large circulation of available weapons, no ideologically motivated cadre is willing to stand up in Punjab and say, yes, we will fight for Khalistan. As I said, all these fellows are criminals. And when I say criminals, I'm not using it in a moral sense. I'm saying these are guys who are essentially involved in organized criminal activity. They are involved in extortion, target killings, supari, paid killings, not killings as in I'm a Khalistani, I will target my enemies. But no, they'll kill anyone that you give them money for. So, despite all this resource and effort being put into trying to revive terrorism in Punjab, ideological terrorism is not reviving. You cannot, however, given we've talked about the political situation in Punjab, the volatility, the harnessing of religion, the promotion by almost all parties of hate, whether it is a Hindu political group or a Sikh political group or a Muslim political group, they are a marginal element in Punjab. But everyone is teaching the hatred of the other. Even in this environment, you are not getting any kind of ideological mobilization. But please understand that as long as you carry on with this kind of process of creating ferment, you don't know what kind of an event can catalyze a transformation. We were talking about the farmers' agitation. Now, one of the most prominent leaders of the farmers' agitation, Dalewal, has been on a fast now. I think today is this 29th day of fasting. Most reports suggest that he is medically barely alive, and that he may suffer a crisis and die any day. Now, this could be the beginning of another and major movement. How that movement would manifest, I doubt if it will manifest in any kind of a Khalistani manifestation, but it can manifest in a massive organized protest movement across Punjab and into Delhi, as it did in 2020-21. And the government seems to be completely ignoring and neglecting this. And that is, the center is completely ignoring it. The Punjab government is seeking to exploit it against the center, that look, the center is not doing anything, the center is not doing it. So, partisan politics, election outcomes, this is all that these people appear to be concerned with, not the resolution of a problem. And please understand that all the demands of the current protests are only that the commitments made by the government at the end of the last protest should be fulfilled. That's all they are asking. They are not asking for some new set of 22 other demands. There is no escalation on their part. They are only saying, Aapne kuch kaha tha, you have told us certain things. 2.5 years have passed. Please fulfill those promises. And nobody is willing to speak to them. A man is put his life on the line. He is going to die. If nothing is done within the next 2 to 3 days, it is unlikely he is going to survive beyond 30 odd days. So you are essentially provoking a population which is mobilizing on entirely legitimate concerns and issues. They are not asking for Khalistan. They are not screaming that we will blow up India. They are saying, give us a fair return on our produce, which people buy for 20 rupees and sell for 200 rupees. Those are the margins between the producer and the retailer when it comes to agricultural outputs. Everybody, all the government commissions that have sat on this, everybody has said the system is exploitative, unfair. The terms of trade are such that all the wealth is being sucked out from the rural areas, not just in Punjab, all over the country. Except that you have to understand that the Punjab farmer has seen prosperity and is now being pushed into poverty. In other parts of the country, the farmer has never seen prosperity. There is an old revolutionary slogan which says that a hungry man is more dangerous than a starving man. Someone who is losing status will tend to greater agitation than someone who has never had status. And that is what you are seeing in Punjab. So, and all the problems of Punjab are being heaped onto the farmer. The water table is sinking, the farmer is to blame. Who made the farmer produce rice in Punjab, in a semi-arid region? Who made them do it? The state did. But today the state says, shift out from this cultivation at your own cost. You are burning this whole parali burning problem that is occurring. Who created the problem? The state created the problem by making the farmer shift into a particular hybrid rice crop, which would delay harvest by a month and a half. As a result of which the parali is being burnt at peak winter. Earlier it was burning 2 months earlier, 1.5 months earlier. That would not cause so much smoke concentration. 3, we sit here in Delhi. Where is the parali being burnt nowadays? Is any parali being burnt? It's all gone. It's finished. Why is Delhi's air quality so poor? One of the worst air qualities in the world. Farmer is not doing it. But the whole idea is denigrate the farmer at every stage, weaken him, make him collapse. So that eventually, again, you have this new agricultural framework of agricultural marketing policy being pushed forward by the government again today to bring back certain elements of the 3 farm laws, which would promote privatization, force these farmers into poverty, force these farmers eventually to sell, so that you would have these large masses of people pushed into daily wage labor, and the corporates would control the land over there. These are the intentions. They are very, very clear. There should not be any doubt about it. So we are creating these problems. And it is convenient, even I mean, say, oh, ISI is doing it, ISI is doing it. First of all, my argument is very simple. It is the enemy. He will try to harm me. So we should stop complaining about that. We should start asking ourselves, how is ISI able to do it? ISI is not creating these problems here. ISI is exploiting problems that have been created here by our own states, by our own politics. We have defeated Khalistani terrorism at its peak on our own soil with the full support of ISI behind the Khalistanis. So when there are 2 incidents and 3 incidents happening, why are we panicking? We defeated a terrorism which had thousands of cadres fully armed moving around, better armed than the police. Today we see 3 boys with AK-47s and Glock pistols, and we say, oh my God, this is going to be going out of control. The Khalistanis are coming, the ISI is doing it, a UK army man is doing it. I mean, seriously. But you must understand, this is not the response of a mature state. It is the response of political parties seeking to project a certain narrative. It has nothing to do with reality. It has nothing to do with the truth.
So, a lot of people, a lot of political experts believe that the talk of Khalistan is happening outside of Punjab. And Punjab is not talking about Khalistan. How do you look at this argument?
Look, there are very small pockets. You will find some people talking about Khalistan. It is not as if there is a zero idea. But the point is, are they talking about picking up the gun for Khalistan? The answer is, I don't find any evidence of that. As I have said before, weapons are awash. I mean, Punjab is awash with weapons, but nobody is picking them up to. They're picking it up for all sorts of other things, but not for Khalistan. So I don't see this as in any. I mean, let's go back a little. Amritpal Singh. First of all, how does a man who has got nothing to do with Sikhism or practicing Sikhism come to India and within 2 months become, Pindranwale 2.0? He was created by the Indian agencies, very clearly, and by others who are opportunistic elements in the political. And when you talked about it, you said in the early 3 or 4 months when he was doing all sorts of vandalism and gundaism in Gurdwaras and things like that, we was asking the question, why is this man not being arrested? And everyone we spoke to said, oh, if we arrest him, it may explode. He has got such mass support. He has this, that, the other. Eventually, he was arrested. He was thrown into a jail thousands of miles away. Where is the ferment? Where is the popular uprising? Do you remember what happened when Pindranwale was arrested? Violence exploded. Police opened fire trying to disperse crowds. All sorts of things happened. Now that man, I mean, you may agree with him or not agree with him. That's not the point. But he had a support base, whatever its nature. When this man was arrested, people were laughing. Again, everyone says, oh, but now he has been elected to parliament. Now what will happen? He is going to create a political party. This is the return of Khalistani militancy. What has happened if he has been elected to the parliament? 1 year before that, Simranjit Singh Mann was elected to parliament in a by-election from Sangarur. He stood in the same seat 1 year later in the general elections. If I remember, if I remember correctly, he not only lost, he lost his deposit. So you must understand, these are not votes for Khalistan, even if the so-called Khalistanis are elected. This is a vote of anger, of frustration. It is, if I want to give a slap in the face of the traditional parties of Punjab, I will go and vote Khalistani. It's not because I want Khalistan or I support Khalistan. It is because I want to slap these political parties in the face who have destroyed Punjab through their corruption and who try to continue to manipulate people on the basis of divisions.
Thank you for talking to the Federal Dr. Sahni. It is always a pleasure.
The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the NLA Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.